We're going to move on and take a look at Word Unit D. Now, this is the very last lesson in Microsoft Word, and I certainly hope that you've learned something or you've taken a good look at what you already know and had a chance to practice it and had a chance to really use it a little bit. Word Unit D is more about formatting and making your documents look interesting. It's columns, page breaks, all of that, and also your citations and your bibliography. Now, this is probably going to end up to be 2 lectures again because there is just too much here for a 15-minute lecture. So don't forget, when you get done with this, to go on to the next one. Let's look at this document in front of us. And this is a marketing document that talks about why you should join a gym and trying to get you to join this Elmwood Fitness Center. If I take a look at it through the View command and the 2 pages on the screen, taking a look at this, you see that it is 6 pages. I don't know about you, but I certainly don't have enough time in my life to go and look at each of these, any documents about joining a fitness center, which I probably should, but to look at these documents and to have 6 pages to read. If I get a 6-page document, a marketing document, it's probably going to end up in the trash. So let's see if we can at least get it down to 4 and make it interesting to where it's something that I just might at least take a peek at. The very first thing that I would look at is this title. This title doesn't even fit on one line. If I said something like this, it definitely would go in the trash. Now, you can do one of 2 things. You can either highlight this and change the font size, which you all know how to do. But really, if I want the name that large, your other option is to go to the Page Layout tab, go down here to the margins, click on the arrow to the margins. You can go down here and see that there are some settings that you can use. The normal setting is 1 inch all the way around. You can use a 1/2 inch all the way around, any of these other options, or you can go down to the bottom for a custom margin. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it 7/10 of an inch on the top and bottom, and I'm going to make it 5/10 of an inch on the right and left, just to give a little bit of variety there. Now the gutter, what the gutter is if you have a magazine and you look at page 3 and 4, those pages are both open when you have the magazine open. So the gutter is where the margin on page 3 and the left margin on page 3, the right margin on page 4 are the same size. So when you bind a document, they are equal. Now, okay, now we've got it to where it fits all across there, and the header is still just as large. Let's see how many pages we got this down to. We got it down to 5 pages. Well, there's not much on page 5, so I think we can get it down to 4. Let's keep working at it. The next thing I would do is I would leave the top portion here where it has the header portion, and I would leave this welcome paragraph the same. I would leave them all margin to margin. But the balance of this document, I would put in columns. The reason why I would put it in columns is that is one of the easiest ways to condense the size of your document. You'd be surprised how much you can get on a document when you are working in columns. So it's the first thing that you can try. If you have a newspaper in your house or a magazine, pause this video and go pick up that newspaper or the magazine. Now, when you come back, I want to talk to you a little bit about it. A standard newspaper is about 11 inches across, and I have one in front of me here. The newspaper, with it being about 11 inches across, what would happen if you were reading an article in that newspaper and there was not columns? Would you be so interested in that? I wouldn't be. My eyes would get lost because I like the short columns. It's easier for me to read. When you take a look at that and then you think, how would it be to read all the way across that page, left to right, and go back over to the left, and by the time you get back there, you're not sure which line that you're really on. So that's one of the most common uses is a newspaper. Most magazines are also in columns, basically to get more in the magazine, but it's also to keep your interest and make it easier for you to read. So if we want to start, we want to leave the top part in one column. The bottom part, we can figure out how many columns we want. I'm looking probably at 2. Now, since I want to keep this page in 2 different formats, part of it 1 column, part of it 2, the thing that I need to do next is I need to insert a point that I tell Word, okay, everything above this you leave alone. Everything below it, you format the way I'm going to tell you to. So that is called your break. So there's many different kinds of breaks, like your book talks about. If you go to your page layout tab, and there is your breaks right there towards the center. You can do a page break. And look at what it does. It leaves the top there. Everything past that point, it shoves onto the next page. Well, that's not what we want to do. By the way, the shortcut for that is Control-Enter. That will shove everything to the next page. What we want to do is go back to your breaks, and we are going to go to a continuous section break. So I'm going to click on that, and well, that doesn't look like it did anything. If I go to the Home tab and I go to the paragraph markers, I can see the background markers that are there. And see there is a section break on there. So the next thing we need to do is change it to columns. Making columns is really, really easy. If you go to your page layout, right here is your columns. Towards the left-hand side under your page setup group. Click on your columns. You can make it whatever you want, however many columns, or you can go to more column setup. On this, I'm going to make it 2 columns. There's several other things you can do. You can do your column width, and you can say column 1 is only going to be 2 inches. You see here on your display how it changes, and then column 2 is going to be what? But the standard is like 3.3. The spacing that it has next is this white space between your columns. The less white space, the more you're going to fit onto that page. So if I change that to like 4/10 of an inch, there's not much white space. What you can do there is, if there is not much white space, you can put a line between your columns. That's this option. That is this line right here. And then you can click OK. Okay, see here, I've got 2 columns and I've got the line between the columns. There's not a lot of room here, but that's okay because I put that line here to stop your eyes as you're going through and reading this. Now, I'm going to turn off those paragraph markers so it's not so distracting. There's many other things that we can do to this document. And one of the things you want to be careful of is, look at here. You've got part of this on one column, part on the other column. That probably is not so good. You can make changes however you want. Maybe if we reduce the size of this title, after all, it will give us a little bit more on this column. Or I can go back to my page layout, go to my columns, and I can make my bottom margin a little bit larger. It still didn't do it. You can continue to play with it. So I'm going to let you go ahead and play with this. You can make your font in this part for this italics, make your font a little bit smaller. So see, it's all in on one column. It's much, much better if you do that. Now this, okay, you've got a new bullet point starting on a new page, so we're okay there. Another thing you can do is, oh, this picture is just way too large. Let's decrease the size of that picture. For the column, it's taking up the whole column. Down here, I would go down just past this aerobic areas and press enter until the rest of this goes to the top. There's another way to do that. The proper way to do this within Word is to go back to your page layout tab, go to your break, and insert a column break. What that tells Word is everything past this point, shove it to the top of the next column. So see there, it automatically shoves it to the top. Now, this, you don't want to break this title between two lines. So I would reduce the size of it. But boy, yeah, we're okay there. Everything else looks like we're doing okay on it. Whoop, we've got another one here that probably needs to insert a column break. So that is at the top of the next page. So everything else looks pretty good. Now, if I want to insert a table here, there's several different things that I can do. I want to insert a table that tells the prices of membership. So if I put a single is $35, a family is, say, $60, corporate is $30, and you can go on and on. This isn't going to get your attention. Let's try and see if we can't do something with this. I'm going to leave that there, and let's actually insert a table. If we go up here to your insert tab and we insert a table, and you get this little diagram that says how many columns do you want, how many rows. Well, I'm going to put 4 rows and 2 columns, because what I'm going to put is I'm going to put type of membership and cost. I can highlight these and make them bold. You just go back to your home tab and I make them a little bit larger. Now, what am I going to do? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, you see how my insertion point changed to arrows? I'm going to drag this over and make the left column larger than the right. And now I can put in single. By now you know I'm a terrible typist, so we'll just deal with that. And then family. And what do we say? That's $60. And then corporate. Third try is a charm. And this is going to be $30 if you have a corporate membership. You see how I pressed enter and I get new lines? All you have to do is go to the bottom of the last line and to the right of the last line. You can enter lines here. Now, if I don't click on it. If I scroll over my table, right up here you see double 4-way arrows. If I click on that, that's going to select my table. Go up here and look. You have a new tab. And it's your Tables tab. We're going to design a new table. If you look at these table styles, you see in the background how my table is changing. I can select any of these. Ooh, that's pretty ugly. You can select any of these, whatever fits the format of this document, to where you can get it formatted exactly like you want. I'm just going to leave it like this for now. Now, which would get your attention better? This or a table? Okay, and at this point, I'm going to go ahead and pause and let you take a little break, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about some other stuff.